Okay, here's a thought experiment for you. If you had to prove you could perfectly recreate one specific person, what body part would you choose as the ultimate proof? The face? Maybe their DNA? Well, today we're going to explore a unique marker of human identity that's even more distinct. We're going to uncover a puzzle that, believe it or not, connects ancient texts with modern forensics. So, get this. It all kicks off with a really surprising fact. Identical twins? They share the exact same DNA blueprint. They are, for all intents and purposes, genetic copies. And yet, here's the kicker. Their fingerprints are completely different. That one little detail tells us that our fingerprints hold a code for who we are that goes even deeper than our own DNA. And that incredible uniqueness is exactly why so many people now call the fingerprint the human barcode. It's become the modern-day lock and key for our personal identity, a standard we rely on, well, every single day. Yeah, there's actually a whole science dedicated to this stuff. It's called dermatoglyphics. And what this field of study confirms is just, wow. Our fingerprints, the little ridges and whorls, are completely formed while we're still in the womb. And they stay exactly the same for our entire lives. They're a permanent, one-of-a-kind marker from the moment we exist. Now, you might think we've known this forever, but the scientific proof is actually pretty recent. We're talking 1880, when a guy named Sir Francis Galton proved it. But, and this is where things get really fascinating, there was a specific reference to this exact same body part in a text from 1200 years before that. It was like a clue, hidden in plain sight, long before we had any idea what it really meant. I mean, think about it. Today, fingerprints are everywhere. They're the absolute gold standard for biometrics. Law enforcement agencies like the FBI and Interpol use them to catch criminals. You use it to unlock your phone, right? Or to get into your banking app. They control access to some of the most secure places on Earth. Simply put, in our world, they are the final, undeniable proof of you. Okay, so let's go back to that ancient clue I mentioned. We're going to hop in a time machine and travel all the way back to around the year 600 AD. Because this is where our story takes a really unexpected turn. Here it is. This is a verse from the Quran. Now, for context, this is a response to a challenge. Someone is doubting the idea of resurrection, basically saying, how can anyone be brought back from just a pile of bones? The response isn't just a simple yes, it's a promise to not only reassemble the bones, but to go one step further and reconstruct the fingertips. And this, right here, this is the central question of our whole explainer. Of all the amazing, miraculous parts of the human body to point to, the eyes, the heart, the brain, why single out such a tiny, seemingly insignificant detail? Why the fingertips? Well, this question has really led to two main schools of thought. Is this reference about dexterity, about the function of our fingertips? Or is it about something deeper? Is it about identity? Let's unpack both sides of this really fascinating debate. So here's how it breaks down. On one side, you have the skeptical viewpoint. The claim is that it's all about dexterity and skill, a way of showing ultimate power by being able to reassemble even the smallest, most delicate parts. On the other side, you have the believer's viewpoint. They argue it's all about unique identity, because the original question was about recreating a specific person, not just any old body. All right, let's look a little closer at that first idea. This argument basically says the fingertip is being used as an example of something really complex. So by promising to restore even these delicate structures, the text is just making a point about absolute power and incredible attention to detail. In this view, it's about divine craftsmanship, not personal identification. But the counter-argument brings it right back to the original question. The challenge wasn't just can you rebuild a body, it was can you bring me back? It was personal. So the answer has to address identity. And, as we now know for a scientific fact, the fingertip holds the one absolute key to that individual identity. So, let's get to our final section and see how these two different threads, this ancient text and modern science, actually come together. And trust me, it's pretty remarkable. So here's the crucial point. Assembling the bones, like the verse says, gets you a skeleton, a generic human form. But reconstructing the fingertips, that very next step in the promise, that's what restores your specific identity. It's the final, undeniable proof that it's really you. And that right there is the core of this whole thing. It doesn't even matter if the author back then understood the science. The choice of the fingertip as the final seal of reconstruction lines up perfectly with what we discovered in the 20th century with biometrics. An ancient symbol and a modern scientific fact are pointing to the exact same conclusion. So the ultimate takeaway here is pretty powerful. Your identity, the code that makes you uniquely you, is quite literally written on your hands. This ancient text was using the fingertip as the ultimate symbol of that identity centuries before things like police forensics or biometrics ever even existed. Which leaves us with just one last thing to think about. Is this perfect alignment between a 1400-year-old text and a modern scientific fact just a remarkable coincidence? Or is it maybe pointing to something more? We'll leave that one for you to decide.